Well, I brought these two items out because one of the biggest questions that we've been hearing with our families that come in for intake is, I've gone to this doctor and I've been tested by this person and this person. And the issue turns out to be a sensory issue. And these parents are so frustrated because they feel like they've been on a 2-year mission to find the answer for something that was actually quite simple. Um, Sensory is it's a specialized area for occupational therapy, but sensory problems can manifest themselves and usually do manifest themselves in problematic behaviors. It's like anything. If you're uncomfortable in your own body or not feeling well, that's going to come out in behavior. And that's typically the way small children are. Even as babies, we know fussy babies are fussy for a reason. Fussy children and children that aren't compliant for a reason. So there's usually a reason to everything, and sometimes that reason can be sensory. Now, we know all children, typically developing children, have times where their behavior isn't good. That's normal. However, our sensory kids have extraordinary problems with this all the time. So that's the first thing you need to look at. And believe me, if this is an issue, you know it because your life is, you're managing your life and your schedule around your child. So whenever you feel like that's going on more than the child being able to join along with your schedule, that's usually a strong indication that there's some issues. And sometimes a child will go through a brief period in their development where things are difficult, but our sensory kids are like this for a long time. It's not something that goes away. So I brought out a few things. This is a poster we keep in our waiting room, and I really like it because it indicates some sensory areas you can have. A lot of our sensory kids have trouble with their hair being brushed and their hair being washed. And remember I said these are long-term issues. This is not an issue that occurs for 6 months. A lot of them are sensitive to light. Some of them are very sensitive to sounds. They don't like to have their teeth brushed. They don't want to get their hair cut. They don't want to get their nails clipped. Some of them don't even want to bathe. They're also very sensitive to clothing textures. That's another thing we see with our sensory kids. So this is a nice little resource we developed that's a very quick resource. We also have a checklist that we oftentimes give to our families. And this is done developmentally. So we have questions for infant and toddler. We have questions for the preschool child. We also have questions for the school-age child. And we have questions for the adult adolescent. A couple of examples for the infant toddler are, my infant toddler is extremely irritable when I dress him or her, seems to be uncomfortable in clothes. Another one is my infant toddler resists cuddling, arches back away from the person holding him. That's just a couple. The preschool one, my child is unaware of being touched, bumped unless done with extreme force or intensity. My child seems unsure of how to move his or her body in space and is clumsy and awkward, or my child is in constant motion. On our school age checklist, and like I said, slow to learn a new activity, my child craves roughhousing or tackling. And in the adult adolescent, I'm oversensitive to environmental stimulation, or I feel very lethargic and slow in starting my day. So these are just a few indicators for you to look at and consider. And please go to our website because we have further information about that, or you're welcome to come in and or give us a call and chat about it. But sometimes it's as simple as a little sensory therapy.